All right. Hi, everyone. I'm so excited to be here with you all, and I have the honor to co-present with Tracy Mihan today. My name is Scarlett Juarez, and I'm part of the IHA team. I've had the amazing opportunity to work with Tracy on AI and health literacy initiatives on the Health Literacy Solutions Center community website. We have different activities that have been going on for the past 6 months, and we'll touch base on that in our presentation today. As someone who came into public health through lived experience, I know how important it is that technology like AI doesn't leave people behind. That's why I care so deeply about this work, and I'm excited to learn and grow with all of you today. This session is called AI in Action: What's working for you, what's not, and what's next. So feel free to make this your own safe space. We're here to learn from each other. And so with that, let's go ahead and dive in. This is just a disclosure statement here. None of us of this activity have relevant financial relationships to disclose with ineligible companies. And today is the second day of the conference, so I hope all of you are learning. And in this session today, what we're going to explore together is how AI is being used, to talk about concerns or confusion around AI. Maybe you've heard about AI but haven't tried it, or maybe you're working with AI and you're using it constantly. So it's a session to share ideas and support needs for the future. So feel free to share, reflect, and ask questions at any point. You could use a chat box, and you could also unmute if needed. We're going to have a Q&A towards the end, but throughout the session, it's going to be pretty interactive. So feel free to post on the chat box or unmute.
Scarlett, your screen isn't sharing.
My screen isn't sharing. Oh no. Okay, let me go back. Share screen. Can you see it now?
Yes.
Awesome. Sorry about that. Technical glitches. Okay, so with that, we wanted to start with a poll. We wanted to hear from you. So let me get this poll on. But we wanted to see if you have used AI tools like ChatGPT or any tools, even casually. So let me get that poll up.
And when you say AI, are you specifically referring to generative AI like ChatGPT versus like AI assisted, which is like Grammarly or editor within Word?
We're primarily going to be talking about generative today, but open to discussions around the other as well.
And I'll give everyone like 20 seconds to respond. Okay, awesome. So it seems that yes, us are using AI. Just a couple more seconds. Okay, nice. Yeah, it's around 86% of us are using AI, which is good. So for the next part, for those who answered yes, I'm going to have a follow-up poll, which is, where are you on your AI journey? And I'll start that poll shortly. And for those who answered no, what's one word that pops into your head when you hear AI? You can put it in the chat. There's no wrong answer. It just helps us see where the room is starting from. Okay, I see a lot of us are exploring and using it. Okay, I'll give us a couple of seconds more. Okay, yeah, it seems that a lot of us are trying some tools and using it occasionally in their work. So this is good. This is good to know. So I'll close that poll out. And then in the chat, I'm not able to see the chat here, Tracy, but if you see any incoming for the ones that answered no.
Yeah, so I'm seeing generating ghost citations, fallible, unreliable. Yep, those are all things to be concerned about for sure.
So, okay, so let's move on. So how can AI help work? And here, I'll turn it over to Tracy so she could go over some examples.
Yeah, so it seems like a lot of you are using it a little bit already, so we might tailor this a little bit differently, Scarlett, but I don't know about the rest of you. I definitely use it. I use it all day, every day. I have ChatGPT open all the time. It's the one that my institution pays for, but I also use other platforms to create videos, to help with presentations, to do research. I use it for a variety of different things. But I really do use it quite a bit. I will say I also have played around with different, ChatGPT versus Perplexity versus some of the other ones. My personal experience is ChatGPT so far has been better for me in terms of the content that gets put out. But there are some ethical questions around how ChatGPT got his information and how they're learning. They didn't ask for permission to train with people's content and things like that. I see Claude AI as another one. Perplexity is one that they actually did ask for permission. So a lot of people are using that. It just depends. Some of us are tied to what our institution allows us to do. My institution, I work at a children's hospital, and we are very tied down on what we are and are not allowed to use. So some of that is dependent. I can't even use with Zoom. I'm not allowed to use AI tools in Zoom because they're worried about patient confidentiality. So it kind of depends on where you are and what you're allowed to use in some cases. But these are just some examples of ways that people have used it. But we're going to talk a little bit more about how people are using it, what your stumbling blocks are, successes, and things like that. This session really is intended for us to hear from you as much as talk with you about what this looks like. If you are newer to it, I will say caution when you're using some of these platforms. I never have used anything that has been generated word for word. I always need to change something. I think of it more as like a thing to get me started, and then I take it from there. But even that, learning about the programs and how to use them can make a difference. When the way you ask your questions and the way you interact with it will get you better information depending on how you're phrasing your questions and how you're interacting with them. Before we go to the next slide, I do want to also make a shout out here for the IHA Health Literacy Copilot, which is launching soon. It's an AI-powered tool that uses NPLAT and PMAT to actually assess. You can upload a PDF and it will do an analysis for you in terms of how closely your materials meet health literacy guidelines, and it will even give you suggestions. It can translate into 12 different languages, I think it is now. So it is something that is coming out very soon if you're interested in it. I think there actually is a session, which might even be happening right now, but all of them will be recorded so you can go back later. But it is definitely, I've gotten a chance to take a look at it and play it around with it a little bit, and it looks like it could be really useful and helpful to a lot of institutions. So I would definitely encourage you to ask more questions, take a look. If you want to learn more, you can email me and I can make sure you're getting connected to the right people. Looks like Beth put it is launched officially. Okay, woohoo. Beth put information, a link in there as well. So definitely make sure you take a look at that. It's impressive, the work that it's doing. And I think it's has potential to save us a lot of time. Okay, I'm seeing in the chat people are putting in information as well. So I was gonna do a demo, but I wonder, I guess raise your hand if you want me to do a little ChatGPT demo, or if you would rather us do more discussion around some of the topics. Discussion. Okay. How about we kind of table this for a minute, and I can always come back to and give a discussion. I think if people
Discussion. I see more discussions. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm seeing that too. So let's skip this for now and let's keep on with the discussion, especially because I'm seeing some good conversations starting already. So one thing we were really hoping to get some feedback on is in October of last year, we launched the Year of AI Challenge, where we are giving people, we have themes and we give you something to read, something to watch, something to try, maybe to talk about with others around different topics. So far, we've done just kind of an intro. What is AI and what does that look like? We've done AI in healthcare, prompting, AI generated images, ethics and biases, and we have on the right-hand side there some of the topics we have coming in. I'd love to hear, are you guys doing that? How has it been for you? Is there something we can change? Are there different topics? I know some of you in here have done it because I've seen you're on the list and things like that. So I'd love to hear. How do we access? So I can find a link. Hold. It is on the AI Solutions Hub, which so I put a link in there and you'll see what the current 4 activities are. And Scarlett and I are working on building a page to make it easier to go back and see all of them from the beginning. So that will be coming soon. And we try and make them so they're doable. So you're not having to spend, hours and hours each week. It's like one little short video or read one article or try one set of tasks with something. Prompting is really important. We do also have a webinar, yes, that was done on, and there you can find that on the IHA website as well. That has that was a nice prompting. I think, Ellen, you may have done some prompting stuff as well. Yeah.
Me, Ellen? Is there another Ellen?
No, that's who I meant.
Yeah, I was actually typing. So, you know how people say please and thank you? Every word and character that you add to a prompt increases the energy use, and each prompt takes about 8 ounces of water in cooling energy. So I think it is, thank you for mentioning that. I think it's really important to learn how to prompt and prompt well. And I actually write up my prompt in Word, and then I put it through a tool called Edit GPT, which is not related to Chat GPT. It's completely free, doesn't uptake your information at all. It's just created by one person. And it has a concise button that does a really good job and tracks changes just like Word and saves your text. And once you subscribe to Edit GPT, he'll never increase the price, he said. You can put up to 100,000 words per month for free, I believe, 600 at a time. But I try to pare down my prompt, but try to put as much information in there as possible so you don't have to reprompt. And if you can do a simple internet search instead of doing Gen AI like ChatGPT or Claude, it's 10 to 30 times less energy than generative AI. And I just learned, I don't know if anybody else has heard of a website called, a search engine called Ecosia. So I'm saying internet search instead. I used to say Google search. Ecosia plants a tree for every search that you do, and they've planted more than 230 million trees so far. And I don't see any difference between like Bing or Google when I do Ecosia. Um, so just know it's a huge amount of energy. Just please use it wisely. Like if you need to know how to organize your kitchen pantry, just do an internet search for an article.
Yes, I'm glad you brought that up. That is definitely something I was hoping that would come up today. I don't think people have any idea the huge implications for uh, energy resources, all of that these platforms are having. So 100% agree. I am very thoughtful in my prompting. And if I'm not getting what I want, I stop. I don't keep trying to get it to do something that it's not working. Yeah, for sure. I love that. I'm seeing some other comments here as well. Let's see. AI tools we're using. Does anybody have any other thoughts on the Year of AI challenge? Okay, Escarlith, let's go to the next one.
Perfect. Yeah, and thanks everyone for sharing. This is great feedback. Let's see.
So we've started this a little bit, but it sounds like I'm seeing some AI tools. So we've heard a few already. In the chat, we've also seen Gamma is one for making presentations. I haven't tried that one yet. So Kat, I'm curious, how has it been for you?
So I've been finishing up my doctorate, and as you can imagine, I had lots of busy work and lots of PowerPoint presentations I've had to do over the last 3 years. And it works just like the Chat GPT, except you put in the prompt and you can put in notes, you can put in an outline, you can put in whatever you want, and it will build the slides out for you, complete with images and graphics. So it's taking the content that I'm feeding it, right, and my references and citations and any of the content I want to come across, but then it's putting them in a visual format. And since I'm not a graphic designer, it's and I sit here and overanalyze trying to find images online. It's done in a few seconds.
I'm curious. So I've played around with a few of them, and one thing that's really important to me is accessibility. I make sure that all of my slides are accessible, which I know I can do in PowerPoint. Some of these tools I've heard can do that, and some of them can't. Do you know anything about that with Gamma? And I'm talking like being able to add alt text and reading order and things like that.
Right. I know that you can do a lot of customization. I haven't tried it for that. I did you do have to look at the images though to make sure that they are appropriate and not weird. I feel like one time there was a person who was crouched down and it looked like they had 3 legs. I mean, there's just like weird things that happen sometimes, like a little bit glitchy. I'm sure that it's better if you're using a paid version or something. but but overall it was just really professional looking, the products that I got out of it. But I haven't tried to do something for any like specific audience since I was using it for academic purposes.
Okay, yeah, this is interesting to me. I see Ellen's comment as well. I have heard of Gamma. I haven't used it. Ellen, it looks like Brisk tool in Canva. I have played around with Canva a little bit. And I agree that I don't think ChatGPT and Copilot are great at this, in my opinion. My thoughts are in many of these cases, it's the same as everything else. It's never going to be 100%. You're always going to have tweaks, but it'll get you part of the way there, at least, would be my guess. Um, s- Michael, I'm seeing you put in there. I thought that was an interesting comment. Organization embracing weird imagery in your marketing and making a whole series around the weird animals and making fun of AI in the process. That's an interesting take. Do you want to tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so I'm a graphic designer with my company, and so what we were trying to think of just some ways of coming up with some new marketing ideas. And this was around the time that AI was starting to kind of get into the image creation environment. And so what we were trying to do is see how we could use AI in a way to streamline the design process, but also we know that consumers are weary of AI images right now too, so we wanted to use it, but make sure that we used it in a way that was overly obvious to the point of, like I said in the clip there, just making fun of it because that was the easiest way of getting it out into the world while not having a whole bunch of pushback because people found it funny.
Yeah, no, I think that's great. I think we're in a kind of interesting space right now. People have questions about whether or not we should be using AI. I've had interesting conversations around like the stock sites are now having AI images available for sale. And sometimes you can't even tell that they're AI images, or some people can't. So, for us, it's been interesting at our institution. I'm at a hospital. Do we use AI generated images? And if we do we disclose that we're using them, or do we make them so wild like you're doing that it's very clear that that's what it is? I kind of lean towards, I actually like using them. I have been able to use it in a way where I am intentional about increasing diversity and being able to develop images that I can't find anywhere else. So I'm curious, this is great for images discussion. I'm seeing AI voice questions. That's another great question. I have made videos with AI voice. There are some that are better than others. Companies like 11 Labs has much more realistic sounding voices. Some of them are still a little robotic, but I use one program called Vyond, which is VYOND, that creates videos for you. It's like mostly the cartoon type videos. Now they have an avatar that you can use and create videos as well. We've used them for onboarding. We've used them for role modeling videos. We've used them to create little educational videos for social media. Thank you, Ellen. You can actually record your own voice and put it into the video, but you can use one of their voices. One of the things I like about Vyond is they actually have, I want to say 70 different languages that you can translate into and have voices for. So it's pretty crazy. Does anybody else have any AI voice or video experiences? So Jerry, good question. Even with the more realistic sounding voices, don't the studies still show it reduces cognition and understanding? So I have seen that. And I think it all goes back to some quality as well. Again, my opinion is some of those cases where you actually do the text to video prompt, I have never seen the text be exactly what I would want. I need to go back in and change them. And everybody's going to experience things differently, right? So some people, just personal experience, not research related, have said, I actually can understand that better because it allows me to stop the video and take time to listen to it again, or things like that. And other people say, nope, I don't like that at all. I need to hear from a human. So I think some of this goes back to knowing who our audience is that we're creating the information for to make a
Except
huge.
in the research I read, it said even if you think it sounds good to you or sounds better to you, that when they are testing people for cognition, they're not doing as well because it lacks the breath sounds and all these little cues that our brains rely on. And I'm
Yeah.
also concerned because I think what what it's not doing as well then is conveying empathy
Mhm.
and reducing anxiety, which is something I've done some work on. And we want to make sure we're not raising the anxiety level and ideally, lowering it for people who have a lot of anxiety about like an upcoming procedure or a new diagnosis. So I am very concerned that we're using this without really understanding the effects, even if people themselves say, oh, that sounds great.
Yeah.
They themselves may not know how it's impacting them.
Yeah, I think there's going to be we've created decades worth of research possibilities in what, 2 years since generative AI really took off, right? I think that's a really important conversation for sure. I think before we do large scale implementations of anything, we need to really understand how people are actually understanding it, not just whether or not they like it, is a great point. Okay. I'm seeing some other great conversation, but I want to make sure we keep moving along a little bit. So we've been hearing some questions. Some of this we've also started a little bit, but is there something that's not working for you, or you just don't like it, or you don't want to use it? Voices may be a part of that, right? Maybe that's something, but are there other things that you just have tried and just won't do it or can't do it because you faced a barrier? So Jenny brings up a good point. It worries me that people aren't taking the time to think through their own content. How can you effectively adjust AI content if your head isn't in the task in the first place? Yeah, so one thing that has been really interesting to me is I work with a lot of students, and with AI stuff that I've seen, it's never all the way, and a lot of times there are actually misinformation or not the most recent correct information or things like that. And if you don't have the experience and the knowledge to know that, you might not catch it, and that can be scary. Yeah, so I am also seeing, and thinking through more with the AI voices. Can't use translate. Yeah, so that's actually, Lara, that's a question I get all the time, is what's the best tool for AI translation? And there's all kinds of research out there, and there's more and more programs that are doing that. I work at a hospital, and we are not allowed to use it for translation either. What I will say is sometimes what I'm doing now is creating a translation where I have somebody, instead of creating the translation, like I give them English and they do whatever language, I will do, here's English, here's the language, can you correct that? So it's just faster. But even that, you have to be, you need a person, because we run into things like, I do work with child passenger safety, and how you say certain words are related to installing the car seats, and what the language is different if you're in Miami versus if you're in Brooklyn. A computer isn't going to get those differences, right? So you need a human interaction for that kind of stuff as well. Lots of great conversation going on in the chat. Okay. Let's security issue with Google's AI assistant. That is another one that actually I really hope that people take away. Some of these programs are huge security risks. And if you're at a smaller institution that doesn't have somebody that can vet those for you, I would just be really cautious. I know when DeepSeek came out, everybody really wanted to use that, and it was cheaper, and it was developed for less money and all of these things, but it had huge security risks in it that if you weren't aware, you could be putting your institution at risk. So if you are going to be using any of and there's new programs popping up all the time, make sure you do your homework before you just jump on and use some of those. And this is something that I know about, and I was using my personal computer and added an add-on that I thought I had done research on, and it caused a security issue on my own computer. So even though I tried, you got to watch out for it sometimes. Okay. Let's skip to the next one because I want to have another, I want to make sure we have some time to capture some of this. So equity, we started to talk about the environmental resources. I want to just take a couple of minutes to talk about equity as well, thinking about who might be getting left out as AI grows, about how we can make AI tools more accessible and inclusive, and even the flip side of that, of how we can use AI to address accessibility and inclusivity. Love to hear your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I guess I'll just comment real quickly that I read a statistic and I haven't fact checked it, but more than 50% of the internet content right now is AI generated. And I think that's just going to keep going up. And we know that most of what's been fed into these large language models are white male written text from the US and Europe predominantly. So there's no way that it can't be skewed and biased. And, you know, in some ways, maybe that helps people who are not native English speakers to polish their text and bring it up to a level where it's sort of a homogenized high school graduate, you know, whatever. But is that really what we want? And can we do better ourselves? I think. And I post a lot about AI, but I'm not using generative AI myself. So I think it's like, do some research to know the tools, to know your purpose, to use the tool that best matches with your purpose, to use these tools wisely. But I think we as human professional writers and editors can almost always do better. So is it worth a little bit of time saving when you have to fact check everything, or you may be introducing bias into your text that you don't realize and don't catch often?
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. And I think there's a comment in the chat that I want to make sure we get to about the AI overviews and search engines. That's another way where, you know, we're not actually writing that. That's coming, somebody is developing that. That's working in some way behind the scenes. And it is what comes up first now in many cases. And the comment here about, especially if you're looking for health information, there is misinformation in a lot of those. And if you don't, you know, depending on if you don't have experience with that particular health topic and it gives misinformation, you might not know that. And so how do we address that? I think some of that is us as a field using our voice more, challenging some of these institutions to make sure that there are people like us in the room when there's training, but it's hard. It's going to be a battle for sure.
I also see a comment here of people at risk of being left out: elderly, non-techie, or tech-resistant people.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely think, you know, when this came out, I knew right away, oh, this is going to be a thing that gets adopted and people are going to use this, and it's going to, the way they pushed it out, it's light speed. They're getting it out first and thinking about what they need to do second in terms of, you know, health literacy and equity and things like that. So I do think there are going to be people that potentially get left behind, people without access to digital tech. Yep, for sure.
So how do we make sure these tools are truly accessible for like some of those that are being mentioned?
Tools meaning what you're creating, or which generative AI platform you choose to use?
I think in general, like technology access, like across language literacy, just in general for like population to be able to like access these, like who's being left out as it with AI as it's becoming more and more common in health communication. But Tracy, feel free to pitch in as well.
Yeah, I think I'm going to flip it for a second. I talk about AI a lot and I go, you know, all over the United States, and maybe one thing I talk at schools, colleges a lot, and what I'm hearing in many cases, it's changing a little bit now, but for a very long time, the response to any form of AI was don't use it. And it kind of goes back to to Ellen's question a little bit at the beginning, they literally were saying don't use AI, but AI now, you cannot escape it. It is in everything. Is it okay to use Grammarly? Maybe that's an okay thing, but they were shutting students down. Now we're seeing some more, they're allowed to use it, but I'm still seeing a lot of education not happening of what these are. When I explain to them about some of the biases that might be built in and whose voices are being left out and the environmental impacts and all of these things, they've never, you know, so many people haven't heard of a lot of these different things. So I think one way we can help people use these more effectively is to make sure we are continuing talking about all of these things, so that people know when they're using it, what they're using. They can start to learn how to use it more effectively. I've seen some great examples of, you know, don't just have it write for you, you write and then have it give feedback. There's, you know, that's a way that you can use it, but not have it do the work for you. You're still doing the majority of the thinking, but it's assisting. I like to think of it more of a tool that assists me, not something that's replacing me. Yeah. So mis and disinformation, lots of good stuff in here. Okay, so we're getting closer to time, so let's move forward so we can make sure we get the last, yep. So one of the things we want to see, to ask is, what can IHA do to help support our field in moving forward, using it, or knowing when not to use it, whatever that looks like? What would you like to see from the AI community at IHA, or, you know, on the discussion list, things like that?
Yeah, like, do you need more trainings, toolkits, step-by-step guides? We just love to know what gaps you see and how can we help you through the Solution Center or other platforms.
I think if there's a way to highlight emerging research, like the discussion about whether to use AI voice and things like that, would be great. In some ways, it might even be helpful as we interact with vendors who start to do things like that, whether or not we feel that's appropriate or at the same level of quality. So that's just one thought.
I love that. And I would encourage all of you, there are many of you on this call, I would encourage you to, you know, I loved hearing about the voices, the AI voices. Share that on the AI discussion list, and let's have some conversations starting there too. But we'll also look into other ways. That's great. Best practices that acknowledge the environmental impact of AI. I like that. There's been some great ones. Ellen's contributed quite a bit in the chat about some ideas for that, but I do think capturing some of best practices on that would be a great idea. Yep. Okay. Some great examples in the chat for sure. Okay. Scarlett, you want to go? We've got about only a few minutes left. This is going.
Okay, so maybe in this slide, what I'm gonna do is I'm capturing all the notes that you guys are, you know, giving us. And so once the slides are shared again, I'm gonna type in what's working, what's not, and what's needed next, based off the feedback that you guys provided. So in this section, due to time, we're not gonna do it here live, but it'll be available once the slides are reshared on the website with all the feedback from us. So let me move on to.
Yeah, hopefully, Scarlett, we can also capture some of what's happening in the chat as well.
Oh, definitely, yes.
Summarize that for everybody and get that sent back out.
Okay, now in this, before we close, here are a few resources to explore. Again, the AI Solutions Hub, for those who want to dig deeper or catch up. The link was previously shared. If not, I'll go ahead and share it again. Also the IHA's Health Literacy Co-Pilot. And Tracy shared an amazing resource for, if you want to talk a little bit about that one, Tracy.
Yeah, so it's CERTSI, which stands for the Center for Injury Research, Translation, and Communication, but it's not all injury stuff. And we have a page on there that's AI resources. So it has links to all different sorts of AI resources that are available out there. We would love to continue to build this platform as well. So you guys shared a lot of great resources in the chat. Ellen is offering to share some resources and maybe do some videos as well. So Scarlett, we should follow up with her on that as well. But we're open to hearing and learning from people who are learning along with us. And it looks like, yep, we've been sharing some stuff in the chat as well.
Yeah, so I'll make sure all the resources that have been sharing, or if you want to continue sharing, I'll gather a list of those and we'll share them to everyone that attended today.
Yeah, another one that's not on this list that I didn't put on there, the American Academy of Pediatrics is doing an AI series about AI in healthcare, and they do a webinar. Oh gosh, I can't remember how often it is, maybe once a month. And I would encourage you to look at that. They've been doing some really interesting webinar discussions with healthcare providers.
Okay, so we have a couple of minutes left. So with that, I want to open up for continuous Q&A. If you have any questions, feel free to type it in the chat box. If not, you could unmute.
I think there's lots of us that could talk about this a ton. So thank you for getting the conversation started. We definitely want to keep growing the IA discussions, the AI discussions in IHA. Ooh, there's a lot of A's and I's in there. And we will make sure that we capture all of the resources that y'all are sharing in the chat as well. Thank you for doing that.
Does anyone have the AAP information link?
Yeah, let me see if I can find that real quick.
That'd be amazing. I love this sort of ability to crowdsource some information. Perfect.
I just put the link in the chat. It's called Artificial Intelligence and Pediatric Healthcare. It's a webinar series.
Yeah. Yeah, thanks everyone for sharing the resources.
Agreed.
And just know that the AI Solutions Hub is part of the Health Literacy Solutions Center community platform, and it's free to become a member. So if you click the link, it might trigger you to log in. If you don't have an account, feel free to make an account. Like I said, it's free, and then you'll have access to the AI Solutions Hub. Like Tracy mentioned earlier, we're going to work on it to make it more accessible and easier to navigate, so you could see the previous half of the year of the weekly activities, and then from there continue on to the next half of the year. And the discussion thread, we hope to see it more engaging and see you guys continue the conversation there.
For sure. Thank you all for coming, and reach out or keep the conversations going on the discussion list. Thank you.
Thank you, Tracy. Thanks, everyone.
Happy to stay on for a minute if anybody has any questions, and Ellen will definitely be reaching out to you.
That sounds great. I would say if you want to save the chat, click on the 3 dots and then click on Show in Finder. Because some people don't know how to save the chat.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Tracy, so I think there's no more questions, so I'll just end this session.